From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Welcome. Tonight, confirmed cases of coronavirus in Nigeria hits 44 as NCDC confirms 2 new cases, one each in the Federal Capital Territory and Bauchi State, with travel history to Germany and the UK. Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad becomes the latest high-profile figure to test positive for COVID-19 after coming in contact with former VP Atiku Abubakar's son. Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 visits the villa amidst reports of Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, testing positive to coronavirus. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi imposes a 21-day nationwide lockdown in a bid to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Plus, business, sports, and news from Abuja, the FCT, and later, international news from our London studios.
On business news tonight, economic experts commend Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to leave key parameters unchanged, saying that's a price the country has to pay for the long structural defects of the economy.
On sports news tonight, the International Olympic Committee bows to pressure, announces the postponement of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics to 2021.
And from Abuja, House of Representatives seeks use of closed federal government colleges as isolation centers for those suspected to have coronavirus, even as Speaker asks Nigerians to prepare for long-term effects of COVID-19.
The numbers are indeed rising as Nigeria's Center for Disease Control confirms 2 new cases of COVID-19, one in the Federal Capital Territory and one in Bauchi State. And the cases have travel history to Germany and the United Kingdom. This brings to 44 the total number of confirmed cases in Nigeria, with 41 active cases. 2 persons have so far been discharged and 1 fatal case. The breakdown of the confirmed cases by states shows that Lagos has the highest number of infections with 29. The FCT, 8 cases. Ogun State has recorded 3 cases, while Ekiti, Oyo, Edo and Bauchi states have 1 confirmed case each. Meanwhile, one of the latest high-profile COVID-19 cases is Bauchi State Governor Mr. Bala Muhammad, who's tested positive to the novel coronavirus. The governor had gone into self-isolation on Monday after admitting he had contact with the son of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on a flight from Lagos to Abuja. The senior special assistant to the governor on media, Mokhtar Gidado, said in a statement that the governor was tested alongside his family and aides that accompanied him on the trip to Lagos. Of the 6 initial tests carried out, 1 sample was confirmed, and it turned out to be that of the governor. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu has an update on the situation.
Welcome to Bauchi State. There is panic, especially here at the government house, after the governor tested positive for the coronavirus. This is because the governor performed series of functions in the last couple of days. Last Saturday, he performed a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of 2,500 houses for low-income earners, and the event was attended by over 100 people. On Sunday, he met with religious and traditional leaders from the 6 Emirates, including heads of security, to discuss measures on how to contain the virus, including Lassa fever, of course. The state is still battling with Lassa fever, and now we have coronavirus. The wife of the governor, the chief of staff, and 3 other close aides to the governor have tested negative. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and the State Ministry of Health have taken samples for 26 persons, including the deputy governor, which will be sent to the lab in Abuja. We are being told that at this moment, the governor hasn't exhibited any symptoms of coronavirus and he is receiving care. From the Government House in Bauchi State, Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Another highly placed government official reported to have tested positive to the coronavirus is the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari. Speculation surrounding Mr. Kyari's state of health heightened today when the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 visited the presidential villa. The team, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, declined to answer questions on the status of the Chief of Staff or the President on their way out. 3 members of Mr. Kyari's personal staff are also reported to have tested positive to the virus. The briefing by the Minister of Health that would have cleared the air about Mr. Kyari's state of health was eventually cancelled after several postponements. Our correspondent Friday Okerigwe has more.
This is where the Minister of Health was supposed to brief the journalists about the update, the recent update on COVID-19. Unfortunately, an aide of the minister just came in, the SA technical to the minister came in a while ago, and he told journalists that the briefing has been stepped down. No date has been given other than to tell us that a new date will be communicated to journalists and a new time will also be communicated to us. No concrete reason for the cancellation was actually given other than to tell journalists that the meeting of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 is actually ongoing at the Secretary to the Government's office. And this is actually supposed to be the second news conference on the update about COVID-19 today. The first one was actually scheduled by the SGF, which was initially scheduled for 9 a.m. Journalists waited for about 2 hours, and that briefing was actually postponed. We were asked to come back at about 1:30, which we did, and later on we were told that that briefing was cancelled. And a moment after that, the Ministry of Health called for a news conference, scheduled it for 1:30. And for about 2 hours, journalists were actually at the news conference, the conference room of the Ministry of Health, where that briefing was supposed to take place. It's just a floor from here, just behind me. I don't know if you can see it. But we waited for about 2 hours, no information as to whether the briefing was going to take place or not. About 2 hours, 30 minutes after, the SA technical to the Minister of Health walked into the conference room with apology, told all journalists that the briefing had been stepped down. No date has been given and no time has been given other than to say that a new date will be communicated to journalists. However, we were expecting that this briefing will provide a better opportunity for the ministry and, of course, the whole task force to provide answer to some of the questions that many of us were looking forward to getting.
Well, it's not just as Chief of Staff to the President that's in self-isolation. The nation's #2 man is also reported to be in self-isolation, although no reason has been given for this. The VP spokesperson, Laolu Akonde, confirmed this on his Twitter page, where he wrote, VP Oshibajo yesterday at the office conducted his meetings via video conferencing while observing social distancing. Today, he continues his work from the Home Office as he is in self-isolation in accordance with NCDC protocols. There are reports, however, that the Vice President may have had contact with some individuals who have tested positive to the virus. From the presidency to Ogun State in the southwest, where the government has announced a new confirmed case of coronavirus, the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, confirmed the new case is a 62-year-old man and a resident of Shagamu who returned to the country on the 17th of this month from the United Kingdom. She says all 32 contacts, comprising 4 family members and 28 caregivers associated with the victim, have been identified, while the patient has been moved to the isolation center in Shagamu.
We have a newly confirmed case of COVID-19 in Ogun State. The said case is a 62-year-old male who resides in Shagamu, and they have history of recent travel, returning on the 17th of March. They presented with a history of cough and was tested, and the test has come back positive. Our priority at the moment is to provide care for the gentleman. He's being transferred to our isolation center, which is located at OUTH Shagamu. We've contact traced all his contacts, who are 28 healthcare giver and 4 members of his family, 32 altogether. We've been able to contact them. He's been very, very responsible by isolating himself since he arrived. Therefore, he's made our job quite easy in tracing his contacts.
It's a different story in Kaduna State, where 3 suspected cases of COVID-19 have tested negative. It's been confirmed by the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Amina Mohammed Baloni, while giving an update at a news conference. She explains that the Ministry of Health has processed samples of the suspected cases involving 3 people who returned from the UK and from Egypt, but the results came out negative. These suspected cases, upon their return into the country, isolated themselves for 14 days.
We have been monitoring 3 people that have returned from the UK and Egypt, which we have been following them up. We took samples of their throat, and we are pleased to inform you that all turned negative. So these 3 that we were monitoring, they called the helplines that I gave you and said they have returned, and we sent a team to go and meet them and monitor them. When some of them said they developed symptoms that were cough and fever, we took a throat swab to make sure that we test them. Now, the guidance from NCDC is that you stay where you are. You do not come out if you suspect you have symptoms. You call the medical team, and our rapid response team, which meets every day, is ready to do that. So you give us your address, we go there, and we look. Once you are declared negative, or you have finished the period of 14 days without any symptoms, you do not have COVID-19, and you can go out. There's nothing that stops you once you have been termed negative. This is a preventive measure to make sure that you're not harming the people around you and your family.
And as part of measures to stem the spread of the coronavirus disease, the Lagos State government and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has ordered the closure of all markets and stores in the state. However, with exceptions of a market selling food items, medicine and life-saving items. The governor also advised against all travel to and from Lagos State, whether by road or by air, while appealing to citizens to stay at home and avoid all social activities.
All markets and stores, except markets that are selling food items, water, medicines, pharmacies, medical equipment, and other related essential life-saving products, daily life products, are hereby directed to close effective from Thursday, 26th March 2020, for 7 days at the first instance. I'm sure we're clear with that directive. All fast foods, eateries, restaurants are enjoined to serve takeaway for all their customers, with no in-dining service permitted whatsoever. Shops in malls that are not selling any of these initially mentioned food items, medical equipment, essential daily needs, they are all meant to also close down from Thursday, 26th of March 2020. And I want to say that the compliance of this directive will be fully enforced by all our security operatives. We're also planning to extend our shopping channels by using some of our open spaces in some of our closed schools, meaning that we want to open up more markets in some of our schools, and this will all be food markets for people to have access to food and essentials. This will start in 2 days' time, and we'll tell you where all these markets will be in these new school spaces. I also want to urge that travel to and from Lagos, whether by road or by air, be avoided at this time. The federal government has also advised residents of Lagos and Abuja to stay put where they are. And I would like to reiterate that this is in strongest terms possible. as much as possible, let us refrain from interstate traveling of any kind until the worst of this crisis is behind us.
In part two, after the break, the Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa orders closure of schools in the state for 30 days to control the spread of the coronavirus. Please stay with us.